new background. If you haven't seen my latest video, then you won't have known. That was weird grammar. That we moved, so hopefully over the coming weeks you'll see hopefully decoration coming up. So very exciting times for those of you who are watching the background during the videos. But yeah, that's not what this video is about. This video is all about celebrating mini 6-month anniversary of creating YouTube videos consistently, and I thought we could review what's going on, the good, the bad. So let's dive into it. August 18th, 2021 is when we published our first video ever. That was a little over 6 months ago. So let's start out by reviewing the numbers. Let's look at number wise what's going on. All right, so the first number, I think this is kind of the most glorified number on YouTube stuff, is subscriber count. So we started back in August with 0 subscribers. I was my first subscriber. I went into my other Gmail account and subscribed to my channel. So, you know, if you're not going to support yourself, who's going to support you, right? So yeah, current subscriber count is at 737, which is very, very cool. It's very exciting to me. I still remember when I started, I thought to myself, how am I ever going to get to 100? Like 100 people, if you really think about it, and you like place 100 people, like even in this room, they're not going to fit. I'm like, that's a lot of people. How am I going to get 100 people to want to listen to what I want to talk about? 700 is wild. And I really am trying my best not to focus on subscriber count as much as possible as a metric to track or judge success on, because subscriber count is one of those things where it's like followers on Instagram, it's like email list subscribers. Like you can do your part to try to increase that, but it's not 100% within your control. So it's really hard to attach too much value or your goals to something that you really don't have full control over. So rather I want to focus on things like, how many videos are we publishing? Am I proud of the videos? How much time we're putting into the videos? Are people enjoying the videos? Those are things that I feel are more within my realm of control, and subscriber count is kind of like an after effect that hopefully comes if you just keep on producing good content, which we're really trying to do. So yeah, that's subscriber count. That's my little spiel about the subscriber count. As of this date, let's see, we have published, I think 37 videos. So you're kind of getting a behind the scenes sneak peek of the scheduled videos that we have upcoming. So 37 videos. Really, really crazy. The tidbit here is that actually I have been scripting and filming 2 videos a week since August, and we've only been publishing 1 video a week, so we have a major backlog of videos that are ready to go. So to date, I have filmed, like I just went and checked in my Notion board, I have filmed 50 YouTube videos. That is wild to me. Wild, absolutely wild, because I still remember, like, I need you to know how impossible I thought. I literally could not imagine. I could not have imagined myself even filming 1 single video back in August. I did not believe that I could do it. And now I've done 50 videos. So yeah, whatever you're intimidated and overwhelmed by, just know that it all just starts with 1. Like, there's no magic leap. You're not going to be able to do 50 videos in one day, but you can do one thing today, right? You can take that first step. Don't worry about that whole mountain of like 50 or 100 or 200 videos or making $1,000 or $2,000 or $4,000 or $100,000. Just focus on like that first thing, like that first dollar, first subscriber, first follower, all that good stuff. Just focus on 1, because I promise the rest comes. Like, the rest comes. I still can't believe I've filmed 50 videos. It does not feel like I sat down and actually filmed 50 videos, so that's just crazy to me. It's like bananas. All right, let's go into the analytics and take a look and see what's going on over here. So our channel has gotten 14,600 views so far, which is so crazy. Watch time 1.4K hours. Very cool. Here you can see all of our spikes. I'm pretty sure the 2 most popular videos we have are the Notion ones, which says a lot about what I should probably focus on. So you can see here the video with the most views is the how I plan to schedule my week as a freelancer using Notion, 3,000 views, and how I plan my year using Notion, 2,000 views. And my freelance clients on Facebook groups video is actually doing pretty well, which is funny because in the beginning it was not doing well. It was very, very low views, and now it's slowly picking up again, so that's kind of cool. This Who's Daya video, I'm pretty sure only has views because I forgot that I had pinned it on my channel, so I'm pretty sure that's the only reason. It's not really that interesting. Like, I'm not that interesting that I think 700 people would have watched this video by choice. I'm kind of roasting myself, but yeah. What exactly a freelance DBM does, that's great. Yeah, so things are slowly growing. Like, the views are slowly growing up, and I think, or I hope it is because Either people are watching one video and then continuing on to watch more videos that we produce. So kind of like that binge quality is my ultimate goal, that people are like, wow, this video is really good. Let me see what else she has. That's my goal. Or they are ranking potentially for some keywords, which means people are still finding them. So those are some things I'm thinking about. And then where people are coming from. So if we go into reach, we'll see our traffic source types. Not sure how to get rid of this. Please go away. Mainly browse features. Very, very cool. That's super cool. That means people are finding me via YouTube and not via my promotion, which is not surprising because I've been doing a very bad job at promoting our videos. So that's awesome. Channel pages, that's awesome. YouTube search, suggested videos. This is so cool that most of the traffic is coming from YouTube because these are people essentially who would not have found me if I weren't on YouTube, basically. So that's really awesome. Definitely the goal there. So now let's talk about ROI. So return on investment. How much we've spent on YouTube in the past 6 months and if I'm seeing any return on this investment for my business, because I'm doing this very consciously. We've committed to YouTube as a main focus this quarter, and this year in August when I started, I said you're going to commit to doing YouTube for 1 year, come rain or hell water. I'm not sure that's the saying. You're going to be putting out 1 video a week. I don't care. No excuses. You cannot quit even if you have 0 subscribers after a year. Like, you cannot give up. So yeah, this is an interesting topic. I'm not super focused on the ROI metric because we're just starting. YouTube is a very, I feel, compound effect based channel where, so to start it's like this, and then slowly it goes like this, you know, as things build up for each other. So I don't think it's fair to judge it after 6 months, but I'm going to be totally transparent. To date, I was like double checking things yesterday. Today, we've probably invested between $5,000 to $8,000 on this channel. And that's just between the team, the people that I pay to help me with this channel. And that does not account for my own time working on this channel. Scripting videos now takes me about 3 to 4 hours per video between like research, writing, editing, first draft, finalizing, and then of course on top of that filming and reviewing videos. I estimate roughly in the past 6 months, I would say I spend about 10 hours a week on producing 2 YouTube videos a week. And so that's about 240 hours over 6 months I have spent personally on YouTube. Now, depending on my hourly rate, that could be a very expensive time spent of my money. So that's just roughly how much time and money we've spent on YouTube. And then the return. So are we making the money back? So this is harder to calculate, but I'll share some different places that I have been looking. First of all, my student forum for DBM Bootcamp, which is my course. 5 people who have joined DBM Bootcamp in the past 6 months have said that they found me via YouTube. So with our average cart value, that's around $3,200 from people who have found me on YouTube and then purchased DBM Bootcamp. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I've also gotten a few smaller product sales from my shop and my mini DBM challenge from YouTube as well, but I don't track that as well, which is definitely a lesson learned there. So I went into my Google Analytics just to double check web traffic as well, because I thought that would be kind of interesting to like the return of how many people are actually making it over to my website. And I don't really plug my website a lot. I don't say like, go take my free class. I'm just kind of, most of my call to actions right now, my YouTube videos are like, if there is something that is relevant, I'll mention it, but otherwise at the end, I'm always normally looking for like comments and engagement. You know, I feel if people strongly are interested, they will find their way to my website, so I don't need to push them that hard. So you can see here over the past 6 months, we have had about 1,000 people make their way over to the site, which is really cool. Definitely interesting for sure. I think that definitely says something about the fact that people who are on YouTube will take action and they are building that trust with you, I think much faster than they would through other channels, to be honest. And I think the fact that I think this is pretty much evident, it's a negative ROI currently, especially when you account into how much time it takes me to produce all these videos. It does not concern me at all right now because one, like I mentioned, YouTube for me is a very long game compound effect. I want to invest in that compound effect when it's like this so that it can take off. I don't want to give up before it takes off kind of thing. Second thing is YouTube, I'm realizing more and more it's a search-based platform. So it's not really like TikTok or Instagram where if you create something, you're hoping that it trends and you hope that it goes viral, and really the longevity of your content is very short. With YouTube, I feel if you do proper keyword research, people will still find your videos much later on, and they have that time. Like, I've seen videos pop off like a year or two, even 3 years later, where they're still getting views. So I'm just feeling like I'm creating assets that will have much longer lifespans, if that makes sense. So I'm really liking that. And the third thing is just my gut feeling. My gut feeling says I shouldn't be concerned about this. I should just keep going. Like that commitment I made myself, I should just keep investing in this channel growth. So yeah, that is some of the numbers. Now I want to give shout outs, very important shout outs. First of all, to Matilda, who is currently editing this video. She is amazing. I am so grateful for her. She is awesome. So shout out to Matilda, and Chelsea, who's my marketing assistant, who helps me schedule these videos. She does all of the description box stuff. So show her some love, show both of them some love in the comments. They have been working their butts off in the past 6 months. And I'm so grateful. And the other shout out I want to give is to all these incredible comments that you guys are all leaving. Like, I'm shocked every single time there's a comment, because I'm like, somebody watched the video, somebody actually took time out of their day to comment something. So just know that that is the biggest encouragement, biggest motivation for us, biggest indicator to us that we're doing something correct and that we should keep going. So thank you so much if you have left a comment in the past 6 months. It is, yeah, I screenshot every single one, and every single one goes into my good stuff folder. So please know that it means a lot. I'm a real person sitting on this side of the screen who is appreciating the real person that's sitting on that side of the screen. So thank you so, so much. All right, now let's talk about lessons learned. Let's talk about some lessons learned from 6 months on YouTube, mistakes I made, and just, yeah, the fun and the not so fun part. Okay, the first thing is, and it's funny because I think people talk about this all the time, and I know I feel there's a big difference between knowing something theoretically and knowing something practically. But I really realized this with YouTube, because for years, I'm not exaggerating, years, I just kept saying, I wish I would have started YouTube 2 years ago. I wish I could have started 3 years ago. I wish I had started back in middle school when YouTube was booming, and then blah, 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 and blah. I kept saying that over and over. Every single 6 months, I would say, I wish I'd started 6 months ago. And it's just so frustrating, you know? It's so frustrating to be stuck in that place where you just keep shaming and guilting yourself for not doing something earlier. You know, probably chances are if you didn't start earlier, it's because you weren't ready back then, right? And once you are ready to take that step, the most important thing is that you just begin. The older I get, the more I realize like how fast time passes, and how time passes regardless of anything anyway. Like, I find myself saying all the time, like, whoa, the past 6 months have flown by, or whoa, the last year has flown by. And knowing that, I'm like, time passes so fast anyway. If I just start now, 6 months are gonna fly by regardless, right? And that's really how it's been. Back in August, I was like, I'll just start. I mean, 6 months are gonna fly by. It has flown by since August. August till now, flown by. I can't believe we did so much YouTube content. So this lesson is like, time passes anyway, and it will pass really fast anyway. So you may as well just begin now, because in a year, you'll be like, I'm so glad I started a year ago, which hopefully I'll be there in 6 months. But like, if you're in a place where you're like, I wish I'd started X years ago, like, I get that. I still remember that feeling so, so well. And obviously I have these feelings about like other things in my life as well. But with YouTube, I'm just so glad that I finally began, that I had that little droplet of courage that one day in August to sit down and film a video, even though I was petrified. The second lesson is consistency. And people say this so much. They say it too much, honestly. They say it too much, and it's one of those things where it's like, theoretically, we know, but do we do it? No. So I think the more important lesson here is, yes, consistency is important, but how do you be consistent when life is going on all the time? And you know, you're not always going to be at 100% energy level, which for me, YouTube takes up a lot of energy for me. It's very active work for me. So how do you do that? And it's really all about systems and workflows. You have to make it part of your routine. You have to make it a non-negotiable part in your routine. Create buffer for yourself, create extra padding of time, create a backlog. You know, when you are feeling more energy, do a little bit more. And when you're feeling lower energy, you know, give yourself that time off so you can actually recharge, and don't force yourself through it. But yeah, system and workflow. Like, we have developed our own workflow, our own system of producing these YouTube videos, and it's working really well. I script and write videos on Tuesdays. I film on Thursdays. I prep them and send them to Matilda on the the next week on Monday. She edits those the whole next week. She sends them to me next Sunday. I review them and give her feedback by Monday. That is how we stay ahead, essentially, of the content, and that is how I create a system for it. And I know every single day, like it's Thursday right now, Thursday morning, I'm filming YouTube videos, and that is how you really have to carve out that time. And you need to sacrifice some things. You might have to think to yourself, like, I can't just pile on this additional thing. I can't just be stacking more and more things. I have to remove things when I want to add something that is going to take up a big chunk of my time and energy. So I had to remove some things from my life to make room for this priority. The third thing, this is another thing people say all the time, and I'm realizing now more and more, is that don't wait for motivation to happen to begin doing something. Like, motivation comes a lot of times after you actually start doing something. A lot of times I would be like, I don't really feel like doing a YouTube video. I don't really feel like sitting down and talking to a camera right now. And so I would wait for that motivation to come, and it wouldn't. And it's only once I sit down and I start talking that I'm like, I'm excited to be talking today to this camera. I'm really excited to actually be talking about this thing that I scripted out on Tuesday, you know? So yeah, like sometimes I feel very excited, very motivated. Some days I'm not about it at all, and I don't even factor that in anymore. Like nowadays I don't even think, do I feel like doing it today? If yes, then I'll do it. Like I'm just like, you just do it and it will feel good once you have done it and once you are actually doing it. And I just don't want to take motivation as a variable to consider anymore, really. Obviously you should like what you're doing, but motivation is a very tricky thing. So take action and then motivation will follow. That's that lesson. The fourth lesson is asking, and I've only recently started doing this, what would make this process easier for me? I think a lot of times, and I see this all the time, is we tend to overcomplicate. We tend to make things more, just like multi-step, big, horrible. As we're creating things, it's like we keep adding things on, we tape things on, we make our workflows really complicated, multi-step, all this stuff, and it just eventually becomes super unsustainable. So lately I've been trying to focus more on, how can I make this easier for myself? How can I make this simpler? How can I make this smaller? How can I make this take less time? And when you ask yourself those questions, it's crazy, like your brain will come up with so many cool solutions for you. Like an example is, I've been filming occasionally vlog style content for YouTube, and for a long time it would take me forever because I would want to show as much stuff in one day as possible, and I would sometimes do the thing and then film it later. So I would not film it as I was doing it, and that was a nightmare. And another thing I would do sometimes is I would try to over polish things. And recently I filmed this work week in the life YouTube video, and I was just thinking to myself, how can I make this process easier? And that was the easiest vlog I have ever filmed. And it's really just because I was filming as I was doing things, so I wasn't like, this is just much easier if you're filming it as you're doing it. I created a plan beforehand. I removed things. I didn't try to show you 50 things in one day. I just tried to show you like 5 things in one day. So like this lesson, it's really, really useful. Ask yourself, if something is stressing you out, if something is overwhelming, if something is frustrating you because of how slow it's going, or it feels like it's never done, like how can you make it simpler? How can you make it easier for yourself? Because at the end of the day, that is what is going to change how consistent you can be. All right, the next thing is creating tiny goals. So I want to show you, I'm going to put this on the screen, but I'm going to show you. We created tiny goals when we were first starting this YouTube channel because I literally could not do it otherwise. Like I could not imagine myself filming 50 videos. I could not imagine filming 100 videos. I could not imagine trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I could not imagine any of it. The tiny goals are what got me to start, because I just put on our goals list, create 1 video, publish 1 video, get 1 subscriber. And that is how we have gotten to here. Like, and I know some of you are like, well, you only have 700, like 700 is a lot. I'm really proud of it. And it would have never happened without that first one. So if you have some sort of like super intimidating, big, scary mountain project you want to achieve, I ask you, what is that first tiny goal you can create for yourself? All right, the 6th thing is, I found myself a lot of times in the earlier months of creating YouTube videos asking myself all the time, like, does anybody care? Like while I was filming videos, I was like, does anybody care about this? Should I be talking about this? And it would sometimes really discourage me while I was filming to be thinking the whole time, like, does anybody care? Is this interesting? Like, should I even be spending my time doing this and all that stuff? And over time, I've just realized it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if other people care. Like, you care, and that's enough. Like, I care about this video, like, especially this video, because I was thinking, like, would anybody really care about a 6-month check-in on my YouTube channel? I'm like, does that really matter? Like, I care. I want to know. I want to be able to, like, look back on this one day and be like, that's where I was 6 months into YouTube, and those are my lessons learned. So, when you're first beginning things, sometimes people won't be watching. Sometimes people will not be there. Sometimes people will not be cheering you on because you're just starting. You know, people don't know you yet. If you're starting a blog, if you're starting YouTube, if you're starting a podcast, if you're starting an Instagram, like whatever it is, in the beginning, don't focus on doing it for other people. Just do it for yourself. Just focus on you. Focus on you having fun. Focus on you learning. Focus on doing the things that you enjoy doing. And I promise that that is going to be enough. And it's going to come across, I think, more natural and casual and organic and authentic than if you're always trying to please other people in the beginning. Because there really aren't that many people in the beginning to please, right? Like for the first few months, we had, I don't know, just a small handful. I'm pretty sure they were all family members and friends. So do it for yourself when you begin. And as people come, then obviously focus on how you can best help them, serve them, and contribute value to them. And that's another lesson learned for sure. I've always been very much of a people pleaser, so I'm always thinking, how can I give value, right? So that's always how I orientate my efforts and time. So like, yes, I'm doing it for myself, but at the end of the day, value needs to be the foundation. Value, you need to be giving something to somebody to ask them to sit there and really watch anything that you're creating. So I always start with value, and then I add that layer on of what would make this enjoyable for me? What would I like to create? And when you find that intersection of like what you enjoy and what provides value to other people, that's when you like have a proper winner. The next lesson, I already briefly talked about this, but when you're creating goals, metrics, when you're trying to judge if something is successful or not, focus primarily on what is actually within your control. It's not fair to yourself to create goals that are like, I want to make $1 million, I want to have 1 million subscribers, I want to have 1,000 followers, I want to, land 50 clients in my first year. That's not fair because you can't control all variables that go into that equation, right? What you can control are how many pitches you send out, how many clients you get on a discovery call, how you get better and better at your skill set, how many videos you put out, how many blog posts you write, how much outreach you do. All of those things are things you can actually control. So focus on those things, and the output, it will come. If your strategies are good and you're trying to always optimize and be better, the output will come eventually. So just give yourself that patience and focus on what you're doing on your side of the equation, if that makes sense. Next one is identify your friction points ASAP. So friction points are what I call, they're kind of like the step before things become pain points. So it's like when things are a little bit like annoying and frustrating in your process, like find those friction points and try to see, how can I make this simpler, faster, cheaper, easier, right? So for me, for example, with this YouTube stuff, writing and scripting took me forever. Like I would script out every single word. It took me forever. It was a big friction point. It was definitely the bottleneck as to why we couldn't produce more content. And additionally, memorizing that full script was a nightmare. Filming would take hours for me. So I got a teleprompter. And I've been learning how to work with a teleprompter, making sure that there's still personality when I'm using a teleprompter. But like right now I'm not using a teleprompter, just in case you were wondering. But yeah, the teleprompter has made it much, much easier. So I'm definitely still tweaking my scripting process. But yeah, how can you make those friction points easier and faster for you? The next lesson is to think less about everything. I think overthinking and overcomplicating are probably my favorite spices of life. Like I sprinkle them on absolutely everything. I would overthink like, what will people like? Will people enjoy? Will they be weirded out that I said this? Will they look at the background? Will they do this? It's like in the beginning, nobody's watching. Nobody's thinking anything, right? Like it's just you. You're the only one overthinking this much. And thinking is so energy draining. So like, I'm trying to just think less, not everything requires so much thought. Like not everything is that serious. Like you can just publish things. Nobody is really looking twice at what you're creating. Everything that in your mind you're thinking like, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me. It's like that spotlight effect. Like they're fussed about what's going on in their own lives. They're focused on what they're doing. So, don't think so much, and especially don't give so much of your energy away to other people and what they must be thinking of you, because chances are they're probably not thinking about me. And overthinking also led me to really try to make things super perfect in the beginning, like immediately. And I know that this is an issue for me, and I still do it every single time without fail anyway. I'm really consistent about that. And I've just really had to learn I will suck at stuff in the beginning. Like even now I'm like, this is not perfect, you know, and that's okay. Like accept that, you know, the great news is like nobody's watching when you begin anyway, so you might as well suck while nobody is looking, be really bad at it when nobody's looking, and eventually you will get good at it, and with that, you know, the growth will come. The last lesson I learned for me has been to find that balance between doing it for myself and doing it for other people, because I like to lead with value, because I'm always like, how can I make this useful for somebody? A lot of times I find that I sacrifice what I enjoy doing for the sake of other people, which I think is good in the beginning, because obviously I want to serve people first before taking. It's not even taking to like create videos you personally like, but you know, it's like that give and take, I guess, of whether they will like it versus whether you will like it. And I think to be sustainable, you really have to find a good balance where you aren't sacrificing everything you enjoy for the sake of like search terms and what the algorithm seems to be preferring. You know, like for example, like I showed you guys, the Notion videos seem to be really popular. I personally like Notion a lot, but I don't want to be a Notion channel. Like I don't want that to be my main focus. And if I were to sacrifice for the algorithm to please the algorithm, I would probably just pump out Notion videos, Notion for Freelancer videos, and those would probably do better considering my analytics. But because that's not the direction I want to go in, because that's not my personal interest, because it takes so much time to create Notion templates as well, I'm choosing not to do that. And that is a sacrifice, but it is a sacrifice so that this can be more sustainable for me long term. And yeah, I'm really happy about that. This video, for example, is also something where I'm personally interested in evaluating my YouTube channel. I'm not sure if it's the most interesting thing for other people, but that's okay, because, you know, I need to do it for me as well, if that makes sense. Cool, so now let's move on to things I'll be trying to do differently in the next 6 months, and I'll be quick about it because this video is getting kind of long. So the first thing is, instead of scripting out word for word, I want to try bullet points. I've heard this from a lot of people. A lot of people have given me this advice to like just do bullet points. I found it really difficult in the beginning when I was filming to do just bullet points, but I'm going to try it out now and see if it is different, if I like it better. The second one is I've hired writers to help me with the first drafts of research content. So sometimes on this channel, we do very heavily research content where we have to like tool-based content, basically like technical stuff. So I'm hiring writers to help me write the first draft, create the first draft of that, and then I'll look over it, add like my personality and kind of polish it up. So I'm testing that out to see if that also makes it easier for me. Maybe I could have like one written script by a writer every single week, and that would then go faster for me. Not sure, we'll see. We're also testing out larger text on thumbnails because I want to improve the click-through rate on our thumbnails. I want to test better lighting, equipment, and background. I just joined Ali Abdaal's YouTube Academy, so I'm really excited to see what his best tips on are upgrading all of this and what's happening, because I definitely think I could be doing better. This is another thing that I haven't been doing very well, and that is promoting my videos. I have not been doing that very well, considering I do have an audience. I have a sizable email list. I have people on Instagram and all that stuff, and I'm not sending out these videos to them is very silly of me. I've been doing a very bad job of this, and I know this is a big mistake. So I want to try to do better at that in the coming months, is just to let people know that there are videos that might be helpful to them and that they can watch it at this URL. Next thing is one of my lessons learned, simplifying, making things less complicated. I definitely want to keep trying to do that. And I want to find accountability and a community of people who are doing similar things to me in the space of YouTube, which is why I also joined Ali Abdaal's YouTube Academy. So I'm really excited to work through that as well. So yeah, so that is it. That's the review. If you are watching this video and you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. Thank you. And second, please let me know what you would like more or less of. Give me your genius. Your feedback is the best data I could ever have. I would love to know in the comments. We can chat back and forth. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye!